Test, test, 1, 2. Welcome back to Cromer Park for season 2026 in the National Premier League New South Wales. Manly United hosting St George City. Cool.
That's a good one. It's stuck, has it? Yeah, nice. The squirrel? Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Moose is good. Fishing.
Substitution for St George City coming onto the field is number 45, Andrew Litsenko. Making his way from the field is number 34, Luke Orsina. NPL New South Wales men, Senior Manly United FC in St George City. The final score, Manly United 2, St George City 1. The goal scorers for the game for Manly United, Stefan de Rovellard in the 59th minute and Jet Keynes in the 71st minute. For St George City, their goal from John Stamos in the 53rd minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have our first grade game of NPL New South Wales men between your Manly United FC and St George City, kicking off in 14 minutes. City lineup for first grade has now been confirmed. And it reads as follows. For St. George City, number 1, Jack Kenny. Number 3, Ben Berry. Number 4, Solomon John Monahan Piker. Number 5, Lewis Mitchell. Number 6, Tarek Erkin. Number 10, Paolo Mitri. Number 11, Jesse Forti. Number 17, Jon Peterson. Number 19, Mason Tatafu. Number 20, Tef Tef. And number 23, Hiroto Domoto. And on the bench, number 2, Matthew Wabi. Number 7, Oscar Goltenki. Number 8, Stefano Rosello. Number 13, Franklin Jan. Number 27, Matthew Jackson. Number 30, Ahmed Taleb. And number 44, Hugo McAteer. That is the lineup for St. George City. We'll have the Manly United lineup coming to you very shortly. Today's match is proudly supported by Black Label Developments, Northern Beaches-based construction company specialising in high-quality residential and commercial projects. Black Label Developments are big Manly United supporters, so be sure to have a local developer that supports your club. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see there's a bit of a rumble happening down at the halfway mark between the technical areas, and that's because we've got a very special presentation set here for quite possibly the future of football here in the Mallaringa district. And what better way to celebrate that than to go down on the pitch now with Adam Peacock, and he's ready to go there with the future superstars of football.
It's working now. Thanks, Anthony. Welcome everyone to Cromer Park for the start of the 2026 NPL season. Looking forward to seeing the first grade in a moment. Thanks to all the parents for bringing all the JDL kids down. Boys and girls, you pumped about the season? Very vocal here. pumped about the season? Yeah. See, that's what life does to you as you get older, kind of enthusiasm wanes or anything like that. But deep down, they're all pumped about the season, about the start. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a whole of club JDL photo. We've got the under 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s from the UFC and NWFA squads as well. I don't know where Jeremy is, the photographer, but we'll get him to get a photo. And we've got, oh, there he is there. Thanks. Everyone turn around. We've got some of the current first graders here who have come through the club. Matthew Donahue has come through the club. Giannis, JJ, Sam and Toby, they've been with the club from a very young age as well, so they're going to jump in the photo. And please make welcome our under 9s to under 12 squads for 2026. We're going to pay attention to the chief photographer. Okay, one, hands down with a smile. 3, 2, 1, smile. And then go nuts. 3, 2, 1, go nuts. All good. Boys and girls, good luck with the season. We'll see you down here at Cromer, no doubt, all parts of Sydney. You can make your way back up and enjoy the game.
Thank you very much, Adam Peacock. I tell you what, you know how to rev a crowd up there. Who knows, I might get you back up on this microphone here at some point. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the kids go up, we do have a very, very special announcement to make. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the lineup. So you got Manly United FC. Number 2, Luca Quizan. Number 4, and captain, Jesse Perez. Number 5, Aaron Driscoll. Number 10, Darcy Borges. Number 11, Ayumu Kimura. Number 15, Max Martinello. Number 16, Will Folder. Number 18, Luke Neuenhoff. Number 27, William McCreary. Number 33, Jasper Chipman. And number 99, Mackenzie Siren. And on the bench, number 6, Saxon Hillier. Number 8, Kakeru Ono. Number 9, Ben Coop. Number 12, Mitch Seaman. Number 14, Please welcome the two teams onto the field for the first match of NPL New South Wales Men's for 2026. St George City and your Manly United FC.
144 days of impatient wait come to a close at Cromer Park. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the NPL New South Wales for 2026. It has been an off-season headlined by player movements and the inaugural Australian Championship. But now, New South Wales Local League is back for another season of drama and intrigue. It's about to get underway here in the North Shore, but a special Manly presentation underway first.
Have supported the front of shirt sponsorship for Manly United this season. So please give Community Bank Freshwater a big round of applause and support as well if you're looking around for it. And Jesse can come over now and the players can go warm up and do their thing.
Show of appreciation for the sponsors on the North Shore. This the first of 244 games across the next 7 months from the North Shore to the South Coast. Blacktown to Baxia. Strap in for another big year of NPL chaos, the kind that you know and love, which does commence tonight in Cromer. For the third year running, Manly United play host to St George City, but first we will observe a minute's silence here in Manly.
Colin May, who passed away in December 2025. Colin played a pivotal role in the creation of what eventually became Manly United FC, being involved in 2 mergers and being team manager of our first grade team throughout the 90s until 2004, including the incredible double premiership season of 1995. Through it all, Colin remained a dedicated and familiar face at Cromer Park, taking on various volunteer roles. His long-standing contribution was recognised when he became a life member of Manly United FC in our class of 2022. Vale Colin May. Please join us now as we observe a minute's silence to remember him. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
A respectfully observed minute silence at Manly for the passing of a club life member. We turn our attention to the football in season 2026 for 2 sides in Manly and St George City, who are both plotting greener pastures this season after a bit of a mid-table malaise last year for both. Kindred spirits in some senses, both with a bevy of fresh faces, 2 new coaches at the helm. Let's get into the team news because there is plenty of it for either side. And starting off with the home side, Manly United under their new head coach Vlado Knežević. There are 6 returning faces in the 11. Jesse Perez, Aaron O'Driscoll, Darcy Burgess, Max Martinello, Will Folder and Jasper Chipman are the continuity players within the starting 11. New signings, Mackenzie Siron, Luka Krizan, Ayumu Kimura from Japan, Luke Neuenhoff, and Will McCreary all make their Manly United debuts tonight. Mackenzie Siron, a player who will be familiar to St George City, having formerly played and been part of their promotion side into the top flight a couple of seasons ago. He arrives from the other side of the St George divide in St George FC. But for City, there are plenty of new faces as well. 11 off-season signings for Mikael Juril's side. Jack Kenny, Solomon John Monahan Viker, Lewis Michio, Tarik Urchan, Paolo Mitri, and Jesse Foti are the faces that are familiar from the previous season, while Ben Berry has arrived from Blacktown alongside Japanese duo Jorn Peterson, number 17, 23, Hiroto Damoto. Tef has made the trip from Mount Druitt, and Mason Tatafu heads back east from Blacktown, or rather Bayswater City, where he was playing in the Australian Championship, having previously been in Victoria with Hume City. So plenty of new faces to sink your teeth into on a simultaneous season opener in the North Shore. Sydney FC and SD Raiders doing battle in the south, but in the north it is signal given by the referee, Blake Sanchez Cruz, set to go in season 2026 of NPL New South Wales. And welcome back to the NPL. Welcome to you, wherever you're choosing to tune in from this evening. Lockie Flanagan in the commentary booth with you. A wonderful summer evenings night at Cromer Park, where there is a great attendance both in the grandstand and at the far post on the other side of screen, the bar. As is often custom at Cromer Park, a bevy of young juniors, many of whom from the JDL that we saw pre-game, did a special presentation. St George City looked to mount an early attack. The ball headed clear by Pires. Out wide to one of St George City's new men, Hiroto Damoto. Stood up well by Jasper Chipman. Plenty of applause early doors for young Jasper Chipman. Arrives into his sophomore season as a full-fledged first grader after what was a breakout campaign last year. Played nearly every game of the year for this Manly United side, who finished in 11th under a combination of Patrick Svansweig and Jimmy Snedden, both of whom have now departed the club for fresh challenges. It's been an interesting off-season. And the new head coach, Vlado Knežević, for the home side. New faces have come in the door, yes, but there is a real intent to trust in the rich youth reserves on offer in the North Shore. Many of the players starting tonight in the opening game of season 2026 have risen through the youth ranks of this club. Jasper Chipman is one. The likes of Max Martinello and Will Folder currently on the ball among the others. And there's a returning junior who's knocked it out of play in 22-year-old Luke Neuenhoff. He's come back to Cromer, the former junior, after stints in a raft of A-League academies, including Brisbane Roar most recently. He's the younger brother of Callum Neuenhoff. Maybe he is watching on in a cold winter pocket of Edinburgh, the Hearts midfielder. The ladder leading Hearts midfielder. He's just seen his younger brother pick up a free kick. So, not the best turnover. Picked up there by Martinello. Lovely turn. It looks from this vantage point to get away from the clutches of Solomon John Monahan Viker, but assistant referee judging the ball to have gone out of play beforehand. Plenty of interested observers from either side to see how both teams approach tonight's opening game tactically. Vlado Knežević, a new coach and an unknown quantity for Manly. The same can't be said for St George City, who've got defending to do. Great cross from Jasper Chipman, which will set up at the back post for Kimura, trying to check inside. Kimura! Good block by the St George City defence. Neuenhoff switching the play for captain Jesse Perez. Tomoto in the way. Peterson, his compatriot, coming in. Roto Tomoto and Jon Peterson both
White scores around the grounds. There has been a goal at Eldon Sports
new
Ground.
signings
Sydney
for St
FC
George
1,
this season
FC
from
Raiders
Japan.
0.
Both of them signed out of the J3, third tier of Japanese football. Both former teammates at one of their old clubs, Yokohama Sports Culture Club. And they are two of the 4 Japanese players who will grace us with their presence this evening. Saw an earlier shot from Kimura, one of the others. Another new signing for Manly, Takeru Ono on the bench. 20 Japanese players in the NPL New South Wales this season. Peterson back to Michio. Manly able to pick it off once more. They've been rather energetic in their press early doors. As mentioned, the Manly fans who have turned out in their numbers at Cromer, not totally sure what to expect of the side's tactical approach under Vlado Knežević. St George City fans, while they've got a new manager, can have a bit more of a reasonable expectation of what they'll see. More on that later, though, as Darcy Burgess starts the eyes up, whips in a wondrous ball, and the header's wide. Fantastic cross that just couldn't be rewarded on that particular occasion by Will Folder. Even though Manly fans got to see plenty of it last year, it's another reminder of the technical quality that Darcy Burgess has got in reserve. He's back on St George City, new coach, but very much a known quantity, Mirko Jural. Back at the helm this season after a year away. Manny Spanidakis has been replaced by the man he replaced. Jural returning for a 7th season with St George City, led them not just from League One into the top flight, but to finals as well, as Kimura tries to come away with the ball, and it's well judged by Ben Berry. Solid defending by Luis Michio, a man who gets his first full season. Oh, that's... you see a bit of that in the opening weekend. Still a bit of pre-season rust. Cobwebs being blown off. That one just getting the better of Jesse Perez. Luis Michio, a very shrewd mid-season signing from St George City last season. Turning to Australia from a number of years in the English non-league and National League system. St George City look to break. Solomon John Monaghan Viker shifting it wide to Jesse Foti. He scans the field and decides that retreat is the best option. To Tafu. Across the Tef. It is a almost entirely new look back line for St George this season. As I mentioned, they made 12 new signings, a fairly healthy departure list as well. Many of those coming down back, the likes of Kaio de Godoy and Nathan Grimaldi, who's going to be calling Blacktown City home this season. clear story in the off-season for Manly has been an increased prioritisation of their youth developments. Opinions are rather divided on what to expect from St George City this season, as that's comfortably collected, or will be, by Jack Kenny. Something expecting a repeat, a continuation of the mid-table finish they stooped to last season. Others are anticipating a return to finals for the team who, when the finals have been available to them since they've come to the top flight, only missed them once, and that was last year. To deal with the absence of their star striker from last season, Mark McNulty. His 14 goals have gone out the door. St George City, headed up by their director of football, Atek Gench, usually signed pretty well. And we get to see what those signings can do as Manly come forward. A huge chance for the first! And it's dragged wide. It would have been a dream debut for Will McCreary. The former Lucas Neal medalist who's come back to the club from Western Sydney Wanderers could have announced his return with a bang. Plenty of positive play so far, though, for Manly United. Kimura has been nicely involved. He's lost out to the weight of numbers that time. Tef. That'll be easy pickings in the end for Mackenzie Siron. And while the quality of finish was lacking from Will McCreary, who could not take anything away from the quality of setup play from Darcy Burgess. And this is how he is planning to start. And the United fans will be reasonably intrigued as to how he can go on. Mackenzie Siron has puffed up another cheap corner for St George City. Two sides today who will both be looking to build on their fallow years in front of goal in 2025. A chance for St George to change that. As the corner is bent in nicely, flicked away at the front post by Manly, and Darcy Burgess will look to collect in advance of Mason Tatafu, and does. To chase for McCreary. So, bodied forward, the youngster. This is his first grade NPL debut as Kimura tries to volley it on goal. Tef makes the block, and the happy Manly fans provide their applause. Plenty of the Chroma faithful enjoying what they've seen in the opening 13 minutes. Yumu Kimura, the number 11 for Manly, is shaping as a potential player to watch. Signed from the Capital Premier League in Canberra from Gungahlin United. 8 goals in 13 appearances in the ACT. Picking a handful early doors. Wonderfully whipped corner, strong header, but it's in the arms of Jack Kenny. And launched quickly forward towards Jesse Foti. He's managed to break away from a few. And I fancy it's the first card season 2026, barring some ill discipline at Illington in Rockdale. Goes the way of Luke Neuenhoff. If you didn't catch the announcement on the PA system here at Cromer Park, that other match at the Illingdon Sports Centre has beaten us to the punch in terms of the first goal of the season. That's fallen the way of Sydney FC, who lead 1-0 against the SD Raiders, newly promoted SD Raiders. Solomon John Monaghan Viker breaking into open space but running out of real estate. Strong header from Tatafu. Neuenhoff needs to be cautious because he's on a card. A task set here for Jesse Foti. Great keeping work from Mackenzie Siron. Swift off the line, made his body big and was able to collect. He distributes quickly to Aaron O'Driscoll. It's a perfect pass inside for Folder. Just proved a fraction too hot to handle. Driscoll was a bright point in a tricky season for Manly last year. Players Player of the Season, the only outfielder to have played every game of the 30-match regular season last year. The non-outfielder was Levi Kay, who will be calling the Illingdon Sports Centre home this season. He's made the move to Rockdale alongside Harry McCarthy. A lot of Manly regulars have found new pastures in this off-season. Incredibly, Solomon John Monaghan Viker gets the eyes up, tries to play the inch-perfect pass for Jesse Foti, but two teammates not quite on the same wavelength that time. And to illustrate the... Well, it's not a change in direction for Manly to be looking to the youth this year, but an intensification of the direction. This season's squad in the seniors, Darcy Burgess at 27 years of age is the oldest listed player. Shipman breaking free initially of the St George City defence. Does cleverly to win it back. Folder brings in a wonderful ball. Will it sit at the back post? It nearly did for Max Martinello. Another corner coming for the Cromer Park kids. Darcy Burgess's deliveries have been delightful so far. He does have Kimura as the short but guarded short option. So he is going to swing it in. It's wonderfully struck again, and the last touch was off a St George City defender. Another corner coming for Manly United. I don't think the St George City defender in question knew too much about it. Just cannoning off the back. An unawares marker. So it's a few extra meters in the legs for Darcy Burgess. He's had to march across to the other flag to take a second successive Manly set piece. Burgess's ball in. O'Driscoll was lurking. Headed clear by St George City this time. Neuenhoff back to Chipman. Launches a switch in the Burgess direction. He trusts himself in the foot race with Demoto. His boot was high but legal. the St. George City defence some time was the best that he could do. Folder. Luke Neuenhoff opening the space and switching flanks. Martinello searching for McCreary. Plucking it out of the setting sun was Chipman. Perez, wicked deflection, makes it easy in the end for Jack Kenny. One back well by Will Folder. Lovely touch as well. Ball not his best. Tef has to be careful though. Kimura was nipping at the heels. Perez. Neuenhoff has seen plenty of it early. Great distribution. Lovely first time ball turned away by Ben Berry. The 23-year-old former Blacktown defender of over 80 appearances. Able to steer it clear. That's hopeful, and it's into the roof of the nets. Only a momentary smatter of nerves for Jack Kenny. We'll be very keen to build on an impressive campaign in between the posts for St. George City last year. Got off to a red-hot start as well. Goalkeeper of the month in the opening few rounds of the season last year. Was in a St. George City side whose start to the season was fairly slow as a collective. So that couldn't be said for Manly. They were 5-0 winners on the opening day then to the now relegated Central Coast Mariners. Michio headed forward by Foti. Caught in a Manly sandwich. There's Jorn Peterson. It was a real year, 2025, of peaks and troughs for Manly United as Foti breaks away. Michio trying to collect, and how's the Moto's touch? Very nice. Very nice indeed. Tomoto looking to bend the ball, punched away by Siron. And Neuenhoff able to gain some extra metres. That's better from St. George City, who have arguably been second best in the opening 22. Not been able to trouble the goal of Mackenzie Siron. Tomoto looking to change that. Tef. Great turn by Michio, but he left the ball behind. McCreary. Clever touch away from Solomon John Monaghan-Viker. He's looked lively at the tip of the spear for Manly United so far. It was a bit of a problem position for them last year. No player really stepped out and made that number 9 slot their own. Got options and numbers here, though. The cross is not the best from Martinello. It'll trickle all the way out at the far side for a St. George throw. And many of their goals last season, Manly, came from the wide positions as opposed to the central striker. Farakoko is now at Sydney United, hitting double digits. American Lucas Meek has made way after a handful of goals. Give Harry McCarthy a few runs in that slot this season, so it'll be interesting to see if the The returning youngster can make that position his own. Nieuwenhof. Picked off by Tarek Ercan. Foti. Mitri. You could see the idea. Displays the palm of apology to Jesse Foti. A long way short of his best, Paulo Mitri, and it's a well-intentioned ball over the top for Will McCreary. Darcy Burgess. Great zip. Lovely delivery. McCreary header straight into the arms of Jack Kenny. And it is almost the rinse and repeat from every positive patch of play the hosts have had so far. Wonderful work from Darcy Burgess. Great delivery. It just cannot be honoured by the finish. Vlado Knežević will be pleased, not just with how his side are creating chances, but the man who's creating so many of them. Pires having a try this time, and not to be. Spoke to club media in midweek, Vlado Knežević, about how he wants the young players injected into this side to have good role models to learn from. Pinpointed players like Darcy Burgess. And these young players are certainly learning a lot from his performance so far. Paulo Mitri, low cross. Comfortable for the Irishman O'Driscoll. Zanello treats to Luka Krizan. Oh, wonderful header, oh, well intended at least from Kimura to McCreary. Ercan. St George City captain will be keen to get a consistent run of games this season after an interrupted campaign last year, only 10 appearances. To build on that in season number 7 at St George City. Easily picked off switch that will drop into the lap of Peterson. Ben Berry, separated from his brother Adam at Blacktown. Satafu. Tef. Approaching the end of an entertaining opening half hour. The season opener at Cromer Park. Plenty of promising play from the hosts, yet to deliver us the first goal of either side's campaign. Demoto looking to change that. Threads the needle and the legs for Peterson, who is headed off at the pass by O'Driscoll. Darcy Burgess. Thwarted by Tef. You can see consistently the intent of Manly United's youngsters to get the ball forward and quickly at every available opportunity. Mitri. Inside for Ercan. Teff shifts it to D'Amato, whose influence on the game continues to grow. Michio. Wide for Mitri. St. George City with numbers forward this time. Can't find any of them. Paulo Mitri. Delicate pass. I'm sure Michio was quite expecting to get it. Urchan threads the needle. Peterson plays it to the top of the box, and it's thumped clear by Kimura. Teff can only head it as far clear as Jasper Chipman. Kimura. He's drifted out to the right-hand side now. Folder. Was happy to watch that out for a St. George City goal kick, but persistence pays for Darcy Burgess. Refused to give up on what looked a lost cause to many. Well, not to him. He's rewarded for his efforts with another set-piece situation. Jack Kenny was already furious enough at his new central defender. He will be blowing up Deluxe should it create a tangible difference on the scoreline. Great ball from Burgess. Free header, turned towards goal and in. And it's Manly who popped the cork on their 2026 campaign. And craft a lead they rather merit from the corner ball of Darcy Burgess. For the side from Cromer Park. It's a perfect start to the season for Max Martinello. He was the player who turned it home right on the goal line from Darcy Burgess's corner. It was a St. George City header. Loose in the penalty area from Michio. And the opening goal of the season for Manly United was rather gift-wrapped to them by the St. George City defence. Max Martinello.
Goal to Manly United, ladies and gentlemen. Just making sure about number 2, Luca Cruzan. Manly United 1, St. George City 0.
Wow. It's a happy welcome back to NPL football so far for Manly United. By comparison, it's a rather frustrating one as yet for Mirko Jural. A year out of the game, and this is his welcome, 1-0 behind. early doors on the opening day of the season. This side will have to come back from behind after that opening goal, courtesy of Max Martinello, his first in first grade football. And very fitting that a season that has been the prelude to which has been a focus on the youth stepping up at senior level, that it is a player doing exactly that has afforded them their first of the new campaign. Tef. Tatafu. St George City making a concerted effort to push numbers forward. It's not the best cross though. It's a simple task for Mackenzie Siron. Leads against his old side. Well, it will be intriguing to observe how St George City reacts to the advent of going behind in this game. I think Manly were relatively good at on the occasions they did find the opening goal of a game last year was generally holding on to it. Defending for them to do here. Demoto bending in a wonderful ball, headed away well, only as far as Urshan. Good sliding challenge that, wonderful commitment to the cause. And a great switch too in the Will Folder direction. Wonderful switch by the scorer, Max Martinello. The interesting tale of their life under Patrick Svansvig last year, when he was at the helm, that Manly had to suffer through so many goalless games last year. They went goalless in 14 last year. 4 of those were 0-all draws. But when they scored one, especially when it was a go-ahead goal, another often tended to follow. It was symptomatic of what became the NPL's Jekyll and Hyde side last year. 38 goals scored last season. 22 of them came in the space of 6 games. They beat the Mariners and Sydney Olympic with 5 goals to their name, as they did Mount Druitt. A 6-0 win against Wollongong Wolves. When they scored one, they usually scored a boatload. They scored half of their goals in a fifth of the games. So will that be one of the positive parts of their year last year? Holding on to leads, extending them, hitting on the break, carry on into this season, or have St George City got bounce back ability? Demoto. Michio. They have gotten great coverage into those wide areas so far. More often than not, seen three able defenders to St. George's two wide threats. Michio has broken away this time, though. Still he has the balls somehow. Chipman launches it clear. Manly on the move, searching for a second. Neuenhoff tried at full stretch to stab it to the feet of Darcy Burgess. D'Amato with the up and under. Free kick taken by Manly. Kimura couldn't bring the ball with him. Just confirmation that it was Will McCreary who went into the book earlier. After that altercation that had several St. George players surrounding Blake Sanchez-Cruz. Foti. That's a better ball. O'Driscoll equal to the task, though. As Palomitri proves a tricky customer. Too tricky that time for the Irishman. Free kick coming for the visitors. So Palomitri, who won the free kick, will take the free kick. We've stepped inside the final 5 minutes of the first half. Oh, and it's a set play. It'll sit up Jesse Foti. Couldn't get it to dip in time. He does have a good goal-scoring record against Manly. The 21-year-old has scored twice in the same game here at Cromer Park back in 2024. Of course, those who were watching on the stream or those who might have been there will remember that game for the wrong reasons. It was the match where, in the midst of an already significant lightning delay that stretched the game out to 10 o'clock, the lights went off at Cromer Park. We have to play the final few minutes after emerging out of the darkness. George City held on to their 2-1 win that day. They've won 3 of the last 4 against Manly. They traded the wins home and away last season. D'Amato. Wonderful work. Fast footwork from the Japanese flyer. He's covered a lot of ground on that left flank. Scooped aloft by O'Driscoll. Picked up by Urchan. St. George City in need of a lift. Tara Gerchan, the captain's turnover, illustrating a slow start for the visitors. aesthetic of the opening half thus far. So Tafu. Good lead from Blake Sanchez-Cruz. D'Amato drops it back to Tef. Michio. Oh, sat down. Will Folder nicely. D'Amato, clever ball over the top. Good work by Ciron. The flag was up anyway. And would have thwarted Solomon John Monahan-Viker. Still have to applaud vision proffered by D'Amato.
Fourth official has indicated that there will be at least 2 minutes of time added on.
Valade, fourth official, has stepped us into an extra 2 minutes of the opening half of the season opener at Cromer Park. A very happy Cromer Park as things stand. They lead on the opening day courtesy of a debut first grade goal in NPL New South Wales for Max Martinello. The question remains as to whether St George City can answer back before the break. Peterson ignores the advance of Jesse Foti. Urchan threads it nicely. Peterson, good link-up play. Better football from the visitors. Tafu into Urchan. St George City building it straight forward. Peterson just couldn't wrap his boot around the ball.
Flash balls around the grounds. There has been a goal at Illinois Sports Club. Sydney FC 3, SD Raiders 0.
You heard it through the FX microphone, not the kindest of welcomes for SD Raiders to the top flight. 3-0 down against Sydney FC before the halftime break. Halftime whistle. It's a happy homecoming to Cromer for Manly United after 45 minutes played. The opening half of the Vlado Knežević era ends with a halftime lead courtesy of a first senior NPL goal for Max Martinello. And a season where Manly United we'll be hoping that the kids are all right. Well, after 45 minutes played, they've shown exactly that. Work to do for St George City on the other side of the break. A big half to come for these two sides looking to open the new campaign with 3 points to their name. We'll see you on the other side of the break. But the halftime score is Manly United 1, St George City 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned at the top of the day here today, we have a very special presentation to give here. It's been a while since we've been able to do this. It's been a great opportunity now to celebrate two people who played an amazing role within football, not only in Manly, but indeed right around the Northern Beaches itself. And with the greatest of honours to be able to announce our inductees for life membership for the class of 2026. First off, I'd like to call up Linda Ward for life membership. Ladies and gentlemen, Linda Ward has devoted more than 4 decades to football in the Northern Beaches, demonstrating an exceptional leadership, governance and advocacy that has profoundly influenced both the Manly Ringa Football Association and your Manly United FC. Linda's lifelong commitment, leadership and strategic foresight have been instrumental in shaping the foundations on which Manly United stands here today. For her outstanding contribution, we hereby bestow life membership onto Linda Ward. We hear members of the Ward family up in the corner as well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome our second recipient for the class of 2026. I'd like to call up David Wilson. David Wilson has been a dedicated and influential figure in the football community on the Northern Beaches since 1977. He has held significant coaching roles with the Manly Ringa Dolphins and later on with Manly United, where he guided and mentored players for more than a decade. In 2020, Manly was elected to the directorship of Manly United FC, where he continues to serve with distinction today. We are proud to recognise his exceptional commitment, and tonight we wish to bestow life membership onto David Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, a final round of applause for our 2 recipients of life memberships for the class of 2026, Linda Ward and David Wilson. You're everywhere. only one able to make that grassroots connection. Meet Casey and the team at Community Bank Freshwater and find out how you can help the bank that supports you and supports your Manly United FC. Support the club that supports you, DYRSL, with 6 bars and restaurants, including Battery House, best sports bar in the Northern Beaches. DYRSL is the vibrant entertainment hub at the heart of our community. DYRSL is a proud supporter of local football and of your Manly United FC. One of our proud sponsors, Auto Body Smash Repair, is your local smash repair expert here on the Northern Beaches. Whether it's a small dent or a major repair, their skilled team will get you back on the road.
Welcome back to Cromer Park. A big second 45 to come on the opening night of the 2026 NPL New South Wales season. As things stand, Manly United are on course to open the new campaign as they did the last with a win in the opening match of the year. 1-0 they lead heading into the second half, courtesy of a first senior goal in the NPL for Max Martinello, leaving the returning St George City head coach Jirko Jural with plenty to do in this second 45, and he has turned to the substitutes in his attempts to do so. 2 half-time subs coming on for the visitors. Hugo McAteer and Matt Jackson both making their way onto the field at the break. Can those fresh legs deliver the desired results for the visiting St George City side, who
Can confirm the other player front of the field is number 27 for St George City, Matthew Jackson.
won't just have their sights set on drawing level in this game. They will still be holding out ambitions of leaving today with all 3 points. Manly will look to make that a tricky task, though, as they more than merited their 1-0 advantage going into the break. Looking to extend it now. Kimura! Great effort, wide of goal. But we're continuing to see promising flashes from Manly's new Japanese live wire on the left. Never quite know what to expect of players who are coming from the capital NPL, as Matt Jackson whips in a wonderful cross, whisked away by Manly defender Jesse Perez. McAteer trying to turn. Interesting changes by Miko Ural. Matt Jackson has arrived at St George City as one of their 11 fresh faces for this season, coming from the revamped Sutherland Sharks. He had a brief stint there, a brief second stint there. Damoto can't find the feet of Mike Peterson. And Hugo McAteer, the other player who's come on. Second senior season for him. We saw him make his debut at the back end of last year, away to Sydney Olympic in July. Lovely ball through. McAteer looking to latch onto it, but it's agile goalkeeping from Mackenzie Siron. He did not really have to make a save in the opening half. One attempt to smother an opening goal for Jesse Foti. Other than that, it was goalkeeping work few and far between. That's this is an interesting one. Nieuwenhof was booked in the first half. He's been brought down by Tarek Erchan. And the question is whether he will join Nieuwenhof in the book. And the answer is yes. So the St George City captain becomes the first player from his side into the book. Luke Nieuwenhof and Will McCreary, two players walking the tightrope from a Manly persuasion. Forward in the McCreary direction, headed away by Tef Tef. For all their attacking struggles, Manly, they did keep 8 clean sheets last season. And save for the departure of Alan Naganovic, fair degree of continuity in that back line. Kimura, lovely ball inside for Darcy Burgess. He's been Manly's best so far. Couldn't make much of that one. Practically all of Manly's opening half chances came courtesy of the industry. The 27-year-old. It was his corner delivery that allowed eventually for Max Martinello's opening goal will falter. The first pass won't reach Darcy Burgess, and it was a heartily celebrated goal at Cromer Park for Martinello. And not just because it was the opener in this season. McCreary, options left and right, leaves them for dead, and for the futsal-style Trevella shot that Kenny was able to gather. D'Amato looks most likely in the first half for St George City. Has to thread the needle for an offside. Bjorn Peterson. It wasn't just a heartily celebrated goal for the fact it was Manly's first, and for the fact that it was Max Martinello's first in first grade football, but it was a sweet moment in what's been a long journey for him as a Manly player. Of course, he broke into the scene back in 2022 and set up a late winner for you. Oh, here comes St George City. It's well defended that time by Manly United. At the concession of a corner. Martinello popped up in 2020-22. Delivered the assist for that infamous extra time winner for Alan Naganovic, and then went on to suffer a horrific leg break the season after. Had to battle a long way to get back into senior football, and now has a goal to celebrate in the new season. And a goal that Manly are looking to defend here. Great delivery in. Martinello was the player attempting the clearing header. And now Kimura is 1-1 with Mac Jackson. The St George City numbers eventually able to close their ranks. And they win it back. D'Amato. To Tafu. Have a little ball for Bjorn Peterson. '28-year-old Japanese striker. Big shoes to fill in the absence of Mark McNulty. Spent 6 years in J3 in his native Japan. Nearly 100 appearances in that competition, which is a very good standard relative to NPL competition. Well, I say relative, I think comparative would be fairer word choice. I've seen players go between those two leagues across the years and perform in both. Got a little ugly between Will McCreary and Ben Berry. A few patrons making the point that the fourth official was very well positioned to judge that one if anything untoward had occurred. And thus far, Niko Ural's double substitutes have provided a tangible change in fortunes for the side from Penshurst Park. Kimura. That will be a St George City ball, much to the displeasure of the Japanese attacker. Mentioned his brief stint at Gungahlin prior to that, playing in the Kansai and Kanto soccer leagues in the fifth step of football in Japan. Burgess doesn't spot a willing runner in advance, so just buy some time. Vlado Knežević is going to turn to his bench soon. Kai Evans is getting his final instructions. Folder. Shipman battling with the, well, physically advantaged presence of Tef.
Substitution for your Man United FC, making his way from the field, number 16, Will Folder. And coming onto the field is number 19, Kai Evans.
One youth player, one youth graduate of the Manly system off for another. Will Folder leaving to the applause of the far post on the opposite side, and Kai Evans, the 19-year-old, will come on to replace him. Player who recently brought up a decade at Manly United, started out in the under-9s. Like many before, and you would presume after him, has made that well-trodden pathway through the Manly youth ranks and into the senior side. It's a pathway that's, it'd be remiss of me not to mention, hasn't just provided for the Manly senior side, it's provided to many a side up and down the chain across the years. Plenty of talent has found its way to the A-League academies, to the A-League, and indeed beyond. And that was the goal for Vlado Knežević. Stated ambition that the next target for the couple of years is to create tomorrow's players for the national team of the future. Tef happy to watch that one out. That is a simple task for him this time. We couldn't say the same in the opening 45. He will be looking to atone for his first half error that led to the opening goal. He was watching the ball out for what he presumed would be a goal kick, only for Darcy Burgess to nip it off his toes, earn a corner, from which Max Martinello opened the scoring. Of course, not the only fixture in operation on the opening nights this year. Usually, or for the past couple of seasons, the Manly United game has been the opening match of the season. Tonight it's a simultaneous season opener with action at Rockdale Illingdon, or the Illingdon Sports Centre. Sydney FC 2-1 up against SD Raiders. Manly looking for their second here. Evans, the substitute, drives it low, and Ercan equal to the task. St George City looking to break. And Luka Krizan flies his way across the field and endears himself in no small portion to his new surrounds. Darcy Burgess is going to pick up his own through pass here. But second time's the charm for Darcy Burgess. He is hauled down by Ben Berry. And a free kick coming from Blake Sanchez-Cruz. Darcy Burgess has just proved a task too tall. For City's back line to tackle so far this evening. His brother has found a new lease of life in football this year with the Newcastle Jets in the A-League. His younger sibling looks to be doing the same in his sophomore season at Manly. Ben Coop is getting ready to enter the fray for the hosts, as Burgess goes for it himself and doesn't get the required dip. Given how he has played today, the chances he's created for those around him, you can not exactly begrudge him for going for it. It's Ben Coop setting himself. He may yet be joined by another fresh face for Manly. Wouldn't be surprised to see Will McCreary make way here. The striker has toiled hard on his Manly return from the Wanderers Academy, and he is on a card. Vlado Knezovic will be conscious of that, as Manly really taking a grip of this one. Chipman, deflected cross, sits up for Ercan. St. George City offering very little thus far, despite their best efforts. As Kai Evans breaks away. Options to aim at. O'Driscoll was there. Tef was first to it. So the defenders march forward. Luca Krizan, Max Martinello, the goal scorer, all awaiting the Darcy Burgess delivery. And they've been on the money so far this evening. It's another good one too. O'Driscoll heads it towards goal and sailing through the evening air. Here's Jack Kenny. Ercan. Collected from the back by Neuenhoff. And it is a final warning, perhaps, for the young midfielder. On a card, as mentioned. And Tarek Ercan have had an entertaining battle so far. Both of them making challenges on one another in the second half. Both in the book. Ercan worse for wear this time around. So Ben Coop will be next on. And he will be on now alongside a
Substitution for
Manly United debutant.
His way from the field is number 27, William McCreary, and coming onto the field,
as predicted,
number 9, Ben Coop.
Will McCreary is the player Ben Coop will be replacing.
Substitution for your Man United FC, making his way from the field is number 15, Max Martinello.
Goal scorer Max Martinello
Number 8, Kakao Ono.
will leave to a hearty applause as he makes way for a club debutant in 22-year-old Kakeru Ono from Japan. And the last player from Japan by the name of Ono to call New South Wales football home. Ended up being a very handy player indeed. And he's straight into the defensive fray as that swung towards the penalty area, but it's a confident collection from Mackenzie Siron. Takeru Ono. And it's turned over and picked off by Peterson. Matt Jackson driving to the byline, stood up well. Wonderful stuff from the substitute and new signing in Ono. He's come from university soccer in his native Japan, Meiji University, originally from Saitama, former Urawa Red Diamonds Junior. So not the only name, not the only commonality he shares with Shinji Ono, of course. Formerly the Urawa Red Diamonds as well. Burgess. Task set for the fresh legs of Ben Coop. Tatafu equal 2 at this time. 25 minutes left. Game slowly becoming more delicately poised. Manly have the lead through Max Martinello. They're deserving of their lead. But it's the slenderest lead possible. St George City have been some way short of what some say is their best on the basis of pre-season. Only but the one stroke of luck to be level in this game. And they might get that from a set piece. Aaron O'Driscoll into the book. He's upended Dion Peterson. The Japanese striker has battled hard, often in vain. The top of the tree for St George City. Recently arrived from Hachinohe in the J3. That from Denmark is another a native of Japan. Be keen to get on the end of this Matt Jackson set piece. Plenty of players clustered at the far post. It's bent in well and allowed to bounce by Manly's defence. Urchan rises. There's a clever little back heel attempt, but it doesn't work out to the advantage of a teammate. And Kenny had to judge that one perfectly and did. And Hugo McAteer
Flash call around the grounds. There has been a goal
the night
at
sky.
Ellen Sports Club. Sydney FC 3, SD Raiders 1.
There's been no shortage of new signings on display for either side this evening. There is one en route to coming on for St George City, but he'll be a familiar face for the Manly faithful. That's Stefano Rossello, 21-year-old, getting set to come on. Smart stuff from a combination of Kimura and Burgess. Manly fans enjoying what they're seeing. Neuenhoff was being urged to shoot, did the unselfish thing, went for Ben Coop. He manages to get it back to Evans, who can't keep it alive as a Manly possession at full stretch. And now City look to break. Peterson, great hold-up play. McAteer. Options on the far side if he wants them. That's where he heads. It's missed by Tatafu. Will it sit up for Tomoto? Well, even if it did, it would have counted for naught. Blake Sanchez-Cruz spotting something he didn't like in the lead-up. And one of, in comparative terms, St George City's more promising patches of play. Fizzles out due to a foul. It's an interesting situation to the left of your picture at the present moment, as they have a player down receiving treatment. Which looks to be Jesse Perez. Stefano Rossello was stripped and ready to come on. He had the sub-vest off alongside another player who will be getting his first taste of St George City senior football in Oscar Gultekin. Curiously now, both, having stood there with sub-vest in hand for some 2 or 3 minutes, have now both popped them back on. Whether that is due to a change of hearts by Mikko Ural, or strict enforcement from the referee. Of course, you have to have the bibs on unless you are actually coming on. Remains to be seen. Mirko Ural remains in conversation with his assistant. And looking at an iPad with some sort of formation app on it. Your guess is as good as mine. Jackson being harassed and harangued by Kimura. And that was too feisty for the liking of Blake Sanchez-Cruz. Jackson spears the ball to the feet of Peterson. And Nurchan can't unlock the defense further afield. This may now be a triple substitution potentially on the way for Mirko Ural. Perhaps he's changed his mind in terms of trusted reinforcements. Whatever he's seen on the iPad from his assistant coach looks to have changed his mind. Ayumu Kumura. Chipman. Burgess. Slips into a pocket of open space. Tries to pick the pass for Ben Coop, who's brought down. And the Manly fans ask the question. And they're met swiftly with a response. Blake Sanchez-Cruz says nothing doing. And the intensity of the appeals at ground level did suggest that they were more in hope than genuine conviction, but
the field is number 23.
No Ticket Sports,
and coming on the
no
field
Raffles one.
is
So after several minutes,
coming on the field is number 30, Ahmed Taleb.
this substitution
The other substitution that we have coming on the field
double
is number
substitution
8, Stefano Rossello.
is going to come to fruition. Club debuts for Football New South Wales, League One goal scorer supreme Ahmed Taleb. He enters the field alongside Stefano Rossello.
The other player that has left the field for St George City is number 6, Tarek Erkan.
Tarek Erkan and Hiroto Tomoto, the two players who have made way for those fresh faces. So Taleb will be an interesting one to watch, signed from Rydalmere in the state's second tier, fresh off an 18-goal season in the League One competition. Lebanese-born Australian, 24 years of age, getting a taste of top-flight football. That one is comfortably snuffed out by McAteer, but he's turned it straight back over to Manly. And they have space to work with. High ball, up and under, awkward! Oh, Kenny is able to tip it over to deny Kakeru Ono. Well, a freak debut goal it would have been. Quite a way to announce yourself to the Cromer Park faithful. To say, watching it again on the replay, which of course you can do, live pause and rewind on the NPL New South Wales YouTube streams if you're watching on at home. I'm not entirely convinced he didn't actually mean that. I think he might have been going for it. Here's the corner in. O'Driscoll's the player lurking. Can't get steered on goal with two bites. McAteer. Great work by the young midfielder. Eventually Manly close their ranks and pick it back up, to the frustration of the visiting St George faithful. Neuenhoff. Ono. Dipping ball. It was awkward for the St George City defence. Matt Jackson. St George City leaving their run late. Concerningly for them, as things stand, Manly are looking more likely to secure a second than the City side are to bring us level. And an opening day defeats is not the form that St George City would want to be bringing into a blockbuster St George derby next week, which they will host at Penshurst Park. A spirited fight back, though, that they would take. Oh, Kimura is going to go for it, and it doesn't make its way on target. Only a momentary instance of nerves for Jack Kenny. Manly, on the other hand, should they hold on to these 3 points, will be very pleased about it, because it is a tough run of fixtures in the opening month for them. Trip away to Blacktown next week before Apia and Sydney United awaits. So 3 top 6 contenders in the next 3 weeks. Top 6 contention in relation to those clubs only bestowed on the basis of pre-season signings and form. Teams can surprise. Manly United have surprised this evening in a very pleasant way. Sanchez Cruz brings things to a halt. St George City turn to the bench. Ben Berry's City debut comes to a close. Oscar Gultekin making his way onto the field. The young talent born in 2006. He's recently arrived from a short second stint at the Sydney FC Academy, where he played at the back end of last year, having returned from Turkey, in fact, where he was playing among the youth ranks of Tindoru. He's an attack-minded player. He takes up good positions. Nico Ural will be hoping that that is the case for him this evening. Despite the extra attackers they brought on, it is yet to bring tangible changes in material outcomes for the visiting side. We've seen a fair helping of late drama and late goals in this fixture. A couple of years ago, St George City trailed at Penshurst Park. Bruno Mendes had put the visitors in front. And it was Presley Ortiz who found the equaliser in the 93rd minute, so it can be done. But not if Manly, or perhaps not if Manly were to score a second. Kimura looking to turn on the afterburners. Held up in the end by St George's midfield line. Neuenhoff shielding the ball smartly. Lovely sequence of passing this from Knezevic's side. Oh no, deflected cross. Lumped away. Not to the advantage of a teammate. All they can do is time and breathing room at the boot of Solomon John Monaghan Viker. He's got the captain's armband now since the departure of Tarik Urchan. One back well by Kimura. Coop twisting and turning, contorting to try and fashion an opening, but doing so forlornly. Is there a grandstand finish on the cards on the opening night in the North Shore? It's only the opening 80 minutes of the season, but it does already have end of year must-win match kind of feel in it, because it's still a live contest with 10 minutes to go. Just the one first half Max Martinello goal splitting the sides. So George City will need to try desperately to change that. McAteer's cross, rather overcooked. And outs for a Mackenzie Siron corner. Goal kick. So both sides have played all but one of their remaining outfield options off the bench. And I get the sense that Manly are about to change that. Could well be seeing a return for a highly touted North Shore talent in Saxon Hillier. Bent ball is a good one for Gould second. This is better from St George City. Decent ball. Peterson! Just could not contort his body enough to drive the header into goal.
Substitution for your Man United FC. Make his way
That's
to the
the
field.
best
Number
patch of
10,
play
Darcy
for St George
Burgess.
City today.
And coming onto the field is number 6, Saxon Hillier.
Darcy Burgess giving final instructions as he will leave for a well-earned break. A fantastic performance from him comes to an end. And it's a welcome back to Cromer Park for Saxon Hillier. Comes back to the side where his senior career started after a year in the youth ranks of the Western Sydney Wanderers. Hoping to recapture the form and consistency of that breakout 2024 season under Patrick Svansweig. Played all but one of their 30 games that year. In stark contrast to his 10 appearances at Wonderland. Time slipping away from Mirko Ural's side. Just getting towards the territory where even if they could find an equalising goal and take a point, it would feel like all three. Played close to a dozen pre-season games. They impressed quite a few. And all that pre-season hope and expectation can disappear pretty quickly if you don't string the wins together early doors. And elsewhere, it's set to be a happy start for the season for Sydney FC. 3-1 up in the 87th minute against SD Raiders. And the calf complaint here for Solomon John Monaghan Viker. Not uncommon to see these cramps in the early knockings of a new campaign. Well, they must have been listening out at the Illingdon Sports Centre. Just bringing you news of a 3-1 scoreline for Sydney FC, and no sooner had I said it, have SD Raiders scored 3-2 with 2 minutes in stoppage to play at the Illingdon Sports Centre. So an entertaining start to the opening night of the new season, and lots to look forward to across to the rest of the weekend. The David Perkovic derby coming up tomorrow as the former NWS Spirit head coach to the Arctic Circle, Christie Park, to face his former side as head coach of the Sutherland Sharks, a club who have been the talk of the off-season with their high-level acquisitions, their documentary, their raft of new signings. It's one of 3 games you've got to look forward to tomorrow. St George FC in action against Wollongong before another instalment of the Derby d'Italia. Marconi at home to West Sarpia. They will be hoping to replicate their Australian Championship epic in the quarterfinals that went to penalties. As Manly have potentially given up the ghost of searching for a second in the final minutes that remain. Only just ticked into the 87th minute. It is, some could argue, on the early side to be going for that sort of play, to trust yourself to cling on to a 1-0 lead, but given the lack of threat this evening to Mackenzie Siren's goal, you can see the logic. Kimura was in another postcode as the pass came to him, so no attempts to latch on. Tef. One last stand on the way on the opening night. Only setting themselves for a few more minutes of rearguard action. St George City looking to pick themselves up off the canvas. Coop. Muscled off it by a combination of Tatafu and Gultekin. St George City starting to launch their numbers forward now, but that will count for naught if the passes don't find them. And now breaking away is Kai Evans. It's a 3v3 for the Manly United attack. Inside it goes for Hillier. Evans upended. And a whistle not forthcoming from Blake Sanchez-Cruz. Much to the chagrin of the Cromer Park faithful, who know how close they are to another win on opening day. Not quite as emphatic as 5-0 against the Mariners last year, but still impressive in its own right. Still hopeful they can put the finishing touch on it. Kimura. Switch of play will bend back, not quite to the advantage of Evans. Those touches have taken him out of play. Meandering towards last chance saloon territory for St George City. Many an interested eye. Fourth official, Valade, in just a minute's time. There's no significant reason to suggest that there will be a large chunk of stoppage for St George City to play with either. Rossello. Good defending by the captain, Jesse Pires. Lifted into the box. Peterson lurking. Siron gathering. All working out for Manly in that department. Flicked on. Red shirts chasing O'Driscoll back. It was shallow for Siron, who is still able to make the ball his own. It's an awkward one for the goalkeeper, though. Difficult height with players closing left and right. He is keen to start his Manly tenure with a clean sheet.
Fourth officials indicated that there will be at least 4 minutes of time added on.
He did grow up in the North Shore, former junior of the club. And the Cromer Strikers as well. Tatafu pushing it wide. St George City are really going for it now. The waiting numbers need a willing cross, though. And can't fully find one. To Tafu, battling with Ben Coop, who knocks it away. Tef. Only 4 minutes of stoppage for St George City to play with. Can they pull off an almighty escape on the opening day? McAteer drives the ball in low. It's out of play. It's a Manly goal kick. And Mackenzie Seron for punching the ball away. I think he thought he was going to get away with that one, but Blake Sanchez-Cruz very much thought otherwise. So a ticket for the goalkeeper late on. Manly United just about there. It's the third straight year that they have hosted an opening day fixture in NPL New South Wales. And closing in on a third straight successful start to a fresh campaign. Plenty of intrigue around the club, around the arrival into the senior job of Vlado Knežević. The intensified injection of youth. Monahan Viker launches it up the line. Every touch so important now. Gultekin robbed of it by Chipman. Wonderful challenge from the youngster. So George City able to win it back through Matt Jackson. Can they fashion one last opportunity? Great early ball, flick towards and away from danger by Ono. Final minute of stoppage approaches. Long throw by Monahan Viker. Tef heads it towards the top of the box. Stabbing at it was Rossello. And Kimura just launches it straight out of play. Perhaps St George City will earn themselves one last drive inside stoppage time. Shallow from Kenny. Rossello leapt. Coming together between Coop and Michio, and Saxon Hillier had the eyes light up only to see the offside flag come up against him. So despite the fact they keep spurning them, the opportunities presented, the door continues to remain ajar for St George City, and this could well be it. One last roll of the dice for the visiting side. Seron goes up, misses it. It's an empty net. Coop away, and the strike from outside the box is wayward. And that'll do it. 3 years on the spin. It is a hat-trick of opening day wins for Manly United. It's gotten rather unsightly at the full-time whistle. Players coming in from every direction. Tef involved. Mackenzie Seron involved. And it is a rather sour note on which to end. A happy start to the season for Manly United. A first senior NPL goal for Max Martinello in the first half from the corner ball of Darcy Burgess proves the difference. And stepping into a season under new management with a renewed youth focus, the early evidence at Cromer Park is that the kids are all right. As the full-time whistle sounds, and yet another successful start to the season for Manly United. St George City will have to pick themselves up off the deck en route to a big St George derby next week. But for now, the opening night of the evening of the season lands with Manly. We sign off from Cromer Park. Thanks for your company for the first night of many more to come in NPL New South Wales. The full-time score from the North Shore: Manly United 1, St George City 0.